I didn't plan to overhear anything. I planned to get ice. It was one of those casual Saturday nights Kendra loved. A few college friends, a few bottles of wine, a cheese board that looked like a Pinterest mood board, and me playing bartender because you're so good at it, Nolan. Translation: stay useful and stay out of the way. I walked into the kitchen for more ice and heard my name. Not in a Nolan is so sweet way. In a brace for impact way. I don't know, Kendra said, voice steady, like she was reading from a script she'd practiced. It's like being with a teenager who learned from bad movies. Laughter. Real laughter. The kind people do when they think the person they're laughing at is in a different zip code. I stood by the freezer with the scoop in my hand like a statue in an appliance museum. Ice started melting through my fingers. My ears did that high-pitched ring you get after a concert. Except there was no guitar solo. Just my wife turning me into a punchline. That bad? One of them asked. Worse, Kendra said, easy as breathing. He's proud of himself, if you can believe it. More laughter, a little snort from someone who would later tell me I seemed so kind. A low, wow, from another. I took a breath that didn't feel like a breath and set the scoop down before I dropped it. I could have stormed into the living room like a sitcom husband and given a speech about respect and marriage. I could have slammed a cabinet and made it about my feelings. Instead, I walked to the doorway and looked through the crack like a burglar who forgot his mask. Kendra sat with one leg tucked under her, wine glass balanced like a prop. She was charming, animated, the best version of herself, available to everyone who wasn't her husband. Her friends leaned in, happy to be audience members. Most looked entertained. One looked uncomfortable. Tessa. She was Kendra's closest friend and the only person in the room not smirking. Maybe talk to him? Tessa said, careful. Directly? And say what? Kendra laughed. Hey, everything you think you know is wrong? That would crush him. I didn't know this voice. Not really. We'd been married 6 years. We paid a mortgage together, we split grocery lists, we had a shared calendar for dentist appointments. I thought that meant we were a team. Turns out, I'd been playing junior varsity on a team that laughed about me in the locker room. I stepped away and walked to the bedroom. I sat on the edge of the bed like a guy who had just realized the movie he'd been watching was a prank video. My brain did a fast replay of our last few years. The compliments, the I'm happy, the you're getting better at reading me. The smiles after I planned dinners, bought flowers, tried to keep the spark alive like a man fanning a wet match. All performance. Great reviews from the audience, not from the star. What hit hardest wasn't the content. It was the ease, the comfort. This wasn't a one-time vent. This was material. Tight 5 at a private club. I was the set. I waited 20 minutes. I don't know why 20. It felt like the right number. Then I stood up, washed my hands, fixed my face, and went back to the kitchen. I grabbed the ice like nothing had happened, dropped it into a bowl, and carried it out. Refills? I said friendly. My voice worked somehow. Thanks, babe, Kendra said, smiling like a person in a toothpaste ad. Tessa met my eyes for half a second. There was a question there. I gave her nothing back, not yet. I kept moving, poured drinks, laughed at the right spots, listened to a story about a coworker's dog who could climb ladders. I played my part, the nice husband, the efficient host, the guy who doesn't hear. Inside, the floor had dropped out, but the fall didn't feel like panic. It felt like cold air, clean. The next morning, Kendra made coffee and tapped on her phone like she was conducting a small orchestra. How'd you sleep? She asked. The voice was light. She wore the soft sweatshirt I bought her on a weekend trip she would later say was sweet, but a little boring. Great, I said. I poured my coffee. No sugar, no cream. Not starting the day with dessert anymore. She smiled at the mug. Black now? Trying it, I said. Amazing how fast a person can change a habit when his world tilts a few degrees. She moved on. I'm thinking girls' night Friday. You okay to be on snack duty again? Sure, I said. My voice stayed normal. My head took notes. For the next few days, I did something I hadn't done in a long time. I paid attention. Monday, she was on the phone in the bathroom while I brushed my teeth. The door wasn't fully closed because Kendra doesn't believe sounds can travel. He reorganized the garage this weekend, she said, amused. Took all day. I said, great job. What else can you do? Silence from the other end, then her laugh, practiced and bright. I rinsed, spat, and looked at myself in the mirror. I looked like a guy who needed a haircut, and maybe a new shirt, and maybe a new policy. I kissed her cheek on my way out. Have a good day. You too, she said, sweet, the same mouth that had narrated my highlight reel of failures like a sports anchor. Tuesday, her phone buzzed on the couch. She glanced down and smiled at something. I asked what was funny. Just the girls, she said. Fingers moved on the screen. A smile that wasn't for me stayed on her face. Wednesday, I suggested a new restaurant downtown. She agreed. She called for a reservation and said, my husband saw it online and wants to try it. Her inflection turned me into a child in a candy aisle. I noticed. Of course I did. I was noticing everything. At the restaurant, she was brilliant with the waiter. Friendly, witty, sparkling. The waiter said, you two seem happy. I said, 6 years. He said, your wife seems like a lot of fun. He didn't say anything about me. He didn't need to. The scene said it. On the way home, she talked about a Pilates class and a podcast about boundaries. The irony was so big, it should have had its own seatbelt. Thursday, I came home early. Kendra was on a video call with her friends. She didn't hear the door. Sometimes I feel like I'm living with my dad, she said. Everything has to be practical. No spontaneity, just routine. I slid my key loudly across the console. She flinched, ended the call, and smiled big. Hey, you're early. Great day, I said. You? Just catching up with the girls. Nothing exciting, right? Nothing exciting. Just rewriting history with a live audience. That night, I lay next to her and stared at the ceiling. Fixing me wasn't the job. The job was respect. Getting it. Keeping it. And if necessary, taking it. She rolled toward me in her sleep and put her hand on my chest. I didn't move it. I didn't move either. My brain kept writing. The opportunity came Saturday. Kendra had errands. Around noon, there was a knock. I opened the door to Tessa. Hey, she said, tucking hair behind her ear. Is she here? Out, I said. Want to wait? She hesitated. Maybe just for a minute. I wanted to talk to you anyway. We sat in the living room, same couch where the comedy set premiered. The irony pulled up a chair. Coffee? I asked. Please. I made 2 mugs. When I came back, Tessa was studying the photos on the mantel, vacations, birthdays, a New Year's Eve where Kendra wore a gold dress that bought her compliments for an entire quarter. You two always look happy, Tessa said. Her voice wasn't a question. It wasn't convinced either. She sat. The other night, she said carefully, the jokes got rough. Rough, I repeated. Polite word. I don't think it was fair. Fairness didn't seem high on the agenda, I said. She held my eyes. You deserve better than that. Most compliments slide off. This one didn't. It stuck somewhere under my ribs. Why tell me? I asked. Because I've done it, she said. Taken someone for granted until he left. Worst decision I ever made. She forced a small laugh. Well, top 3. Noted. I'm not trying to stir anything, she added, then corrected herself. Okay, maybe I am. A little. I just hate watching you get stepped on while you're carrying the groceries. That accurate, huh? She nodded. It's not my business. But it's also not nothing. We sat in the kind of silence where 2 adults decide what to do with an open door. Her phone buzzed. She glanced. It's Kendra. She's on her way back. Then you should go, I said. I should, she said, standing. She didn't move. We walked to the door. She stopped with her hand on the knob and looked at me like she was checking a decision for loose screws. You have options, Nolan, she said, quiet. Just remember that. Thanks for the coffee, I said. Thanks for listening, she said. She left. I closed the door and leaned on it for a second. Not because I was tired, because something had shifted in the room when she said the word options. A week later, we bumped into each other at the grocery store. It was a big city, small produce section. Small world, Tessa said, smiling. Not a flirty smile. We both know what we know, smile. Apparently, I said. I looked at her basket, apples and a rotisserie chicken. Efficient. Shopping for one? She asked, eyes flicking to my cart, which held 2 salmon fillets and a bag of asparagus that would die in my fridge if I didn't cook them that night. Kendra's working late, I said. That's too bad, she said. Pause. I hate eating alone. I looked at the apples, then at her, then at my reflection in the metal of the deli case. I looked less tired than I had last week. Maybe it was the haircut. Maybe it was the line I had drawn in my head. There's a little bistro near here, she said, casual. I was thinking of grabbing dinner. You could join. As friends. As friends, I repeated. The words had weight, like gym plates. You can lift them safely or throw out your back. Unless you'd rather not, she said. Which is also fine. No, I said. It's fine. We ate at a place across town. Low light, small tables, the kind of spot where conversations sound important even when they aren't. Ours was important. We talked about work and books and the way people perform being happy online. We ate food that had fewer ingredients than adjectives on the menu. She listened when I talked, not the polite kind, the real kind. She asked questions that landed and stayed. At the end, she put her hand over mine for a second. Not long, enough for my nervous system to file a report, evidence of being wanted located. This is dangerous, I said. It came out before I could file it under internal thoughts only. The best things usually are, she said. Also, the worst. But you learn to tell the difference. We walked to the parking lot. She stopped at her car. Thank you, she said, for being who you are, even if she doesn't see it. Thank you, I said, for saying it out loud. This doesn't have to be the end of the conversation, she said. It doesn't, I agreed. She smiled, got in, and drove away. My phone buzzed. A text from Kendra. Don't forget snacks for Friday. I told the girls you'd make your salsa. Of course she did. Friday night came fast. The house filled with familiar faces, familiar wine, familiar jokes. I wasn't the same. I didn't hover in the kitchen. I didn't vanish into dishwasher duty. I stood where people could see me and talked like I had a spine. Tessa came a little late. She wore something simple and looked like a person who sleeps the right number of hours. Her eyes found mine, then found Kendra, then found the room. She took the temperature without touching a single forehead. Hey, Nolan, she said, warm, neutral. Hey, I said, finish that book? 2 days, she said, you were right. Good taste recognizes itself, I said. Kendra's head turned like I'd tapped her shoulder. A few minutes later, Kendra tried a joke at my expense. It used to land easy. Tonight, it fell short. He takes everything so seriously, she told the group, doing the little laugh she does when she wants other people to join. Maybe because he's the only adult in the room, Tessa said, calm. No smile, no wink, just the sentence. Silence. Not long. Long enough. Kendra blinked like someone turned on a bright light. Just kidding, Tessa added, softening the blow by exactly 1%. I passed around bowls of chips and the famous salsa Kendra promised on my behalf. People ate like they didn't know the house was about to tilt again. At 10, the crowd thinned. Hugs, thanks, promises to do this again soon. Tessa left last because the universe enjoys symmetry. Thanks for the evening, she said, giving me a hug that was entirely normal and also not normal at all. Anytime, I said. She walked to the door. Kendra watched the hug with a face I hadn't seen in a long time. Concern, yes. But under it, something else. Realization. We locked the door. I started stacking plates. Kendra started putting away glasses with the intensity of a woman breaking up with a cabinet. You okay? I asked. Are you sleeping with her? She said. Direct. Not her usual route. I set a plate down. I didn't rush. That's an accusation, I said. It's a question, she said. You're different. She's texting you. You're smiling at your phone. You two have a thing. I'm different, I said. Yes. Why? Because I started paying attention. To what? To how you talk about me when you think I'm not listening, I said. The room changed temperature. She went pale in half a second. What are you? The first party, I said. The teenager joke. The grocery list. The applause. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. No words, just the sound of a person meeting a mirror she didn't order. Tessa didn't laugh, I said. She looked embarrassed. For me. For you, Kendra swallowed. Are you with her? Does it matter? I asked. You spent years telling people I'm a disappointment. Why do you care who I disappoint now? Because you're my husband, she said. It sounded less like a truth and more like a policy she wanted to reinstate. I looked at the sink, at the plates, at the woman I'd built a life with who had turned that life into content. I was your husband, I said. You turned me into material. Her eyes filled fast. Nolan, I was venting. I didn't mean, you meant it enough to perform it, I said. She stumbled a step back and grabbed the edge of the counter like the house had moved. Maybe it had. Can we talk? We can fix this. Therapy. Something, it's late, I said. For the conversation you should have had with me before you had it with everyone else. Her phone buzzed. She flinched. She glanced at the screen and then looked at me as if I could unbuzz the past. I didn't ask who it was. I didn't need to. I dried my hands on a towel, folded it neatly, and set it down like a man finishing a shift. I'm done being the joke, Kendra, I said. I'm not going to beg you to respect me. She cried. Not the dramatic movie cry, the quiet, panicked kind. The kind that says a person is finally in the same room as the consequences. I went upstairs, not fast, not slow, the kind of walk you do when you know exactly where your feet are. I closed the bedroom door and leaned against it, just for a second. My phone lit up on the nightstand, a message from a number I now recognized on sight. You okay? If you need anything, I'm here. I didn't answer. Not yet. I didn't need a rescue. I needed a life that didn't require one. I turned off the lamp. The room went dark. Sleep didn't come quick, but it came honest. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't faking anything. I woke up before my alarm. No dreams, no dramatic soundtrack, just a quiet morning and a brain that had moved boxes to a different shelf. Kendra was already downstairs. She had the good mugs out, the ones we only used when guests came over, or when she wanted Instagram to think our mornings were always like this. Coffee? She asked, too bright. Black, I said. She poured and watched my face like it might deliver a verdict. We should talk, she said. Last night got out of hand. Last night got honest, I said. That's new. She flinched, then nodded like a student pretending to understand a math problem. I said things I didn't mean. I was trying to be funny. I crossed a line. You made a path, I said. You've been walking it for a while. She stared at the steam rising from her mug. I want to fix this. Then don't say anything, I said. Listen. She nodded again. Twice. Okay. I'm not your punchline, I said. Not in your house. Not to your friends. Not to anyone. If you're angry with me, say it to me. If you're unhappy, say it to me. If you want to leave, say it to me. But stop auditioning your feelings for a crowd, she swallowed. I hear you. You hear the words, I said. We'll see if you hear the meaning. Silence. Not comfortable, not hostile. Just the kind where two people realize they've been living in different versions of the same story. She tried again. Do you want therapy? I want respect, I said. If therapy is how you get there, fine. But I'm not signing up to be told how to be more entertaining. Her eyes glossed. She blinked hard. I can do better. You could have done better any time in the last 6 years, I said. You picked an audience instead. I put my mug in the sink, rinsed it, and left for work early. No door slam, no scene. The new policy didn't need applause. Work was quiet. Numbers, emails, a meeting that could have been a memo. My friend Ben swung by my desk around noon with 2 sandwiches and the face of a man who smelled drama. You look like a guy who discovered fire, he said. Or burned his kitchen down. Which is it? Bit of both, I said. I'm redoing the floor plan. Of your life? He said, delighted. Finally. I told Kendra the tap is off, I said. No more material at my expense. Did she cry? He asked, too fast. Yes, I said. Good, he said, then made a face. Not good that she cried. Good that you said something. I said everything, I said. Now I'll see what actually changes. He nodded and handed me the better sandwich. Turkey pesto. People who draw lines get the good stuff. I laughed, simple and small. It felt human. At home that night, Kendra had cooked. Real cooking too, not takeout plated like a magazine shoot. I made your favorite, she said. Lemon chicken. Roasted potatoes. You made my previous favorite, I said. We'll see what the new guy likes. We ate. It was good. Food is honest. People aren't. Halfway through, she tried casual. I'm canceling girls' night for a while. I need a reset. Do what you want, I said, but don't do it for points. Her eyes flicked up. I'm doing it because I embarrassed you. You embarrassed yourself, I said. I just happened to be there. She chewed slow. You're different. I'm accurate, I said. Her phone buzzed. She didn't move. The old Kendra would have glanced on reflex. The new Kendra let it buzz out. Progress? Maybe. Or performance. I wasn't grading yet. After dinner, I did the dishes without the show. No jokes about my technique, no commentary, just hot water, soap, quiet. Kendra leaned on the counter. Are you seeing Tessa? I set a glass down gently. You don't get to move the spotlight because you don't like the scene. That's not an answer, she said. That's the only answer you get, I said. She looked small for a second. Not manipulative small. Actual small. Then she pulled herself up and nodded like she'd just given herself an assignment. Okay. Good, I said. Sleep well. I won't, she said. That's a start, I said, and left the kitchen. The next week didn't explode. It simmered. A patient boil. I changed routines, not to make a point, to make space. I started going to the gym before work. Nothing dramatic. Just a barbell and the slow burn of muscles waking up to a new memo. I bought shirts that fit. I booked a dentist appointment I'd been avoiding for no reason other than, it can wait. Those small things you put off when you're the one holding the house together while someone else reviews your form. At home, I spoke less and did more. I fixed the door that jammed. I replaced the hallway bulb that flickered. I set boundaries like they were furniture. This goes here, that goes there. No, that doesn't belong anywhere now. Kendra noticed everything. Saturday morning, she came into the kitchen with a printed list. That alone was a new language. I wrote down what I need to change, she said, so I don't spin it when I talk. I read. It was simple. Don't mock. Don't perform. Be direct. Stop outsourcing conflict to friends. If you're unhappy, say it to Nolan first. If you need jokes, buy a notebook and write about something else. Good list, I said. I can stick to it, she said, straight-backed, jaw set. We'll see, I said. Lists are easy. Habits fight back. She nodded. I deserve that. You do, I said. And so do I. She took a breath. Can I ask one more thing? You can ask, I said. Is there anything I can do that would speed up forgiveness? No, I said. That's not how this currency works. She nodded again. Okay. I made coffee. She made tea. We were two adults in a house trying not to step on old landmines. It was tiring and also weirdly peaceful. Tessa texted sparingly and carefully. No late-night paragraphs, no jokes that could be screen-grabbed and weaponized. Hope you're okay. No pressure to reply. I won't contact you if you ask me not to. A book rec, if you want it. No strings attached. I answered sometimes. Not always. I didn't owe anyone my attention. That included the version of me who thought he had to respond to every ping like a hotel concierge. One afternoon, she wrote something that hung in my head for the rest of the day. You don't have to prove you're valuable. You already are. That one got a reply. I set the phone face down and finished my work like a man who finally remembered his job description. 2 weeks into the new rules, Kendra suggested therapy again. Not a performative suggestion. A quiet one. Thursday, 3 p.m. Like a person asking for a meeting. I booked a session, she said. If you don't want to go, I'll go alone. You can go, I said. I'm not ready to sit in a room where a stranger asks me to share my feelings like a show and tell. Not yet. She nodded. I'll go. I need someone to hold a mirror and not be scared of me. That's a good sentence, I said. Keep it. She almost smiled. I wrote it down. Good, I said. She went. She came back with a face that said someone finally told her the truth to her face and didn't decorate it. She didn't debrief me. I didn't ask. Respect wears many coats. One of them is privacy. On a Sunday afternoon, Kendra's phone lit up on the counter while she was upstairs. The name said Tessa. The preview said exactly 6 words. You don't understand what you're losing. I didn't touch the phone. I didn't need to. Kendra walked into the kitchen, saw the screen, and froze the way people do when they spot a step they weren't expecting. She looked at me. Did you? I didn't touch your phone, I said. She put it face down and pressed her lips into a thin line. She texted me last week, she said. Something similar. What did you reply? I asked. Nothing, she said. I didn't know what to say that wouldn't make it worse. That was wise, I said. I'm not used to her disagreeing with me, she said. She always backed me up. She's backing you up, I said. Just not the part of you that runs on applause. Kendra sat on the stool and put her head in her hands. I hate this. I know, I said. You're still not the biggest victim in the room. I know that too, she said into her palms. Good, I said. Then we're aligned on step 1. She lifted her head. Are you seeing her? You want to fire the messenger, I said. I get it, but I'm not giving you a target. She stood and paced once from fridge to window and back, then stopped like she'd decided something. I want to invite Tessa over, she said. I want to talk to both of you. No yelling, no performance. I need to face this like an adult. That's brave, I said, or reckless. Maybe both. I deserve the discomfort, she said. And you both deserve, I don't know. Clarity. I looked at her for a long second. The old Kendra would have staged this as a televised apology with lighting. The Kendra in front of me looked like a person who'd lost a fight with her own reflection and decided to clean up the ring anyway. Invite her? I said. Rules? No accusations? No deflection? Say the thing. If you slip, I stop it. She nodded slowly. Agreed. And if this turns into a new episode of your show? I said. I walk out, and that's the last scene I do in this house. She swallowed. Understood. She texted Tessa. Short, direct. Can you come by Tuesday at 7? I want to talk. No drama, I promise. Tessa's dots appeared, disappeared, then appeared again, like a small storm trying to form. I'll come. No drama from me. Kendra showed me the phone like a student showing work to a strict teacher. I gave her a nod. Tuesday, I said. We'll do it Tuesday. Tuesday felt like a dentist appointment you can't move. The day crawled. I worked late on purpose and arrived home with 5 minutes to spare, so I wouldn't have time to think myself into a corner. Tessa knocked at exactly 7 o'clock. Kendra opened the door. They hugged like two people who forgot how. "Hi," Kendra said. "Thanks for coming." "Hi," Tessa said. "Thanks for asking." We sat in the living room. No wine, no snacks. Kendra had water in glasses like a support group. She looked at me, then at Tessa, and clasped her hands together to keep them from hiding. "I owe both of you an apology," she said. No preface, no meandering. She looked at me first. "Nolan, I disrespected you. I turned our marriage into a stage. I said things to other people that I should have said to you, and I said them in ways that made you small, because it made me feel big. That's ugly. I did that. I'm sorry." It was a good apology, clean, no glitter. I nodded once. "Thank you." She turned to Tessa. "I used you," she said. "I wanted an audience that agreed with me. When you didn't, I got mad at you for not being a prop. That wasn't fair." "I'm sorry." Tessa's face softened and then set. "Thank you," she said. "I accept the apology. I don't accept the old dynamic." "I don't either," Kendra said. "I don't like who I am in that dynamic." Silence. No one rushed to fill it. That alone was a change. Kendra looked at me again. "I'm not asking for forgiveness tonight. I'm asking for a chance to be someone you can respect again." I leaned back and looked at both of them. "Respect isn't a coupon," I said. "You don't redeem it once. It's a daily thing. It either shows up or it doesn't." "I know," Kendra said. Tessa spoke, careful. "I'm not here to pick a side," she said. "I'm here because I told you both the same truth. Nolan deserves respect." "Kendra, so do you. But you don't get it by winning an audience." Kendra almost smiled at the sting. "Noted." Tessa turned to me. "And you don't need me to validate your value. You're already living like you know it." "I'm trying," I said. Kendra took a breath. "One more truth," she said, voice low. "I'm jealous." She looked at Tessa. "Of you. Because he's lighter around you. Because you see him. Because you didn't treat him like homework." She looked at me. "And I'm jealous because if I lose him, I might lose him to you. And that's my fault. All of it is my fault." There it was. The sentence no one wanted to say, but everyone needed in the room. "No one belongs to anyone," Tessa said. "He'll go where he's respected." "That's not a threat. That's physics." Kendra nodded and wiped her eyes with the heel of her hand. "I hate physics." "Most people do," I said. We sat with that for a minute. Then I stood. "2 rules going forward," I said. 1. No more public versions of private problems. 2. No asking me to prove I belong here. I do if I want to. That's the only proof I offer. Kendra stood too. "Agreed. I'll leave you two to it," Tessa said. "You don't need a third chair for this part." She stood and walked to the door. Kendra followed. They didn't hug. They held each other's eyes like grown-ups and nodded. At the door, Tessa looked back at me. "You okay?" "I am," I said. "For the first time in a long time, I am." "Good," she said. "Keep going." She left. Kendra closed the door and leaned against it like a person who just completed a hard thing without a costume. "Thank you," she said, "for letting me say it." "Thank you," I said, "for actually saying it." Weeks passed, and the house stopped feeling like a battlefield. Kendra kept her word. No more public jokes, no more clever little digs. If something bothered her, she said it straight to me, sometimes awkwardly, sometimes clumsy, but it was real. And she listened. That was the biggest change. One night we sat on the porch after dinner, just the two of us, no phones. "This is nice," she said quietly. "It is," I said. "I forgot how to just sit with you," she admitted. Me too, I said, but we're getting there. She reached over, put her hand on mine, and didn't rush to fill the silence. For once, it wasn't heavy. At the next small gathering, I waited for the punchline that never came. When someone made a teasing comment, Kendra actually defended me. He's the reason this place even looks good enough for you all to sit in. Don't mess with my husband. People laughed, but this time it was the good kind, the warm kind. She caught my eye across the room. No performance. Just a look that said, I meant that. Later that week, my phone buzzed. Tessa. Just checking in. How's the house? Quieter, I replied. Good. I meant what I said before. If the respect ever disappears again, don't stay out of habit. Some of us see you. I stared at the message for a long time before typing back. Thanks. Hoping I don't have to cash that in. Me too, she wrote. But the offer stands. That night, I climbed into bed next to Kendra. She turned, half asleep, and rested her head on my shoulder. I'm glad you didn't give up on me, she whispered. I almost did, I said. She nodded against my chest. Then I better make sure you never want to again. For the first time in months, I believed her. I lay awake a little longer, staring at the ceiling. Kendra was fighting for me now, and that thought, oddly enough, let me finally sleep like a man at peace. If you felt this story hit hard, drop a like, subscribe for more, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support keeps Steelheart beating.